All right, everybody, we are going to kick into this week on our office hours, and I really want to talk about, how office hours are flowing, the Telegram group, the app where you can access the video vault and our resource list. So I'm going to do that at the end and make sure that everybody kind of knows where to go for what, because we do have these meetings, which are hosted on Zoom, and then Kajabi and Telegram are apps that you can download to your phone or you can access from a desktop. Telegram is going to be where we're going to have our channel where we're posting updates and we post out different, tools and things in there. There's also a group chat, which is literally exactly what it sounds like, where everybody can mix and mingle together. And then Kajabi is that vault where we have all of our past big idea videos. We have things from the health freedom and the uh, Freedom Revival back in 2020, some amazing speakers and amazing content from the past. And we also have an A to Z library where you can kind of search in the search bar for what's going on with you, your child, and find what you need when. So when you come in to get adjusted and we say, hey, why don't you jump in there? You're asking me about how to pick a pediatrician. Why don't we start with watching the video in the vault from Dr. Larry, who's a board certified pediatrician on holistic pediatrics, because that type of pediatrician is who I would love all of my patients to be able to find. And first, we just kind of have to like dive in and learn some new things. And so I'll be able to kind of guide where people know where to find things living there in Kajabi. So Kajabi will be all the courses and videos and links and all the things. And then Telegram is where we can connect with each other and we'll send out some voice memos and things like that. So I'll come back to that at the end. Today, though, in the practice this week, and it's Tuesday morning, right? So Monday was a very, very full day. We had everything from very young mothers coming in with recent diagnosis of cancer uh, to a slew of babies that have undergone birth trauma, children who are recently diagnosed with things like autism, ADHD, going back to school and preparing for how their families are going to kind of nurture and form a village around them. Different families that are experiencing summer colds. Everybody's going through these things is the premise that I want to start in. It is not if a storm will hit you in life, it is when. And the thing that I want to talk about today is our beliefs and our choices, because what we believe about what's happening to us or what's going on will then kind of inspire and dictate the choice that we make. And then ultimately our choices create our reality. So whether we're making those choices actively, like the foods that we drink, whether we exercise regularly, if we're hydrating, or we're making subconscious choices of the way we scroll on our phone, things that we do in our daily rhythm, we don't even realize we do. Or, I was talking to my dad this morning and he will not take off socks because his mom was taught by his grandma, who was taught by her mom, the lineage goes back that bare feet if it's cold will make you sick. And I was just giving him grief. It's like, where did that belief come from? And he's like, well, my mom and great grandma. I mean, it's tested. We all have something like that we've been taught when it comes to health that may not be in any kind of research or sound science, but we've learned it in our upbringing or we've learned it through a life experience, and then it turns into a belief, and then it dictates our choices. So I want to talk about that because I love the saying that goes, how you do one thing is how you do all things. And fundamentally, to get ourselves out of sickness cycles or emotional storms, or whether it's grief or emotional pain, or it's a sickness, something as big as cancer, or something as big and overwhelming as an autism diagnosis. No matter what it is, we first have to look at what we believe about it, and then we can make more empowered choices from there. So let's take one, for instance. The way this kind of runs through the filter in average day, we'll take a simple one. My daughter had a fever the other night. If I believe the fever is bad, I will likely get something to turn the fever off. If I believe that the fever is good, then I will nurture her. I will keep her hydrated. I will hold her and I will let her body process. Now I'm keeping an eye on her. I'm not haphazardly just avoiding medication, but fundamentally, I believe that the fever is good. So that, knowing our core beliefs in healthcare, especially as parents, is key. And there's no shortcutting the work. And it is super helpful to have chiropractors, to have pediatricians, to have nurses, to have friends, to have a village around you. At the end of the day, though, I want everybody to feel like they are equipped. If they were on a deserted island, they could field anything that comes their way. So I believe that the power that made the body heals the body. I believe that there's innate intelligence in every cell. I want to read a few statistics about cell regeneration to you. Because when we say that the body's ability to heal is powerful, I don't really think people understand how powerful. So when we look at the skin, the outermost layer of the skin is replaced every 28 to 30 days. Blood cells are regenerated about 120 days. The body continuously produces about 2 million red blood cells per second. Per second. That's going on right now within us, and we don't have to tell it what to do. And that's just two things. Your intestine lining has a turnover of about every 2 or 3 days. You go into organs. So a liver, you literally can recreate an entirely new liver given perfect circumstances. This is a requirement of really cleaning up diet, really cleaning up life, thoughts, traumas, toxins, cleaning up all that stuff under perfect circumstances. You have the ability for the liver to fully regenerate in 6 to 12 months. Muscle tissue takes a few weeks. Bones, we've all had either ourselves or our child break a bone. And what do they say? It's going to heal. We just got to give it the right supports. And takes about 6 weeks. And you look in the pre-X-ray and the post-X-ray, it's mind-boggling to me because we go to these superhero movies like Wolverine and Superman, and we see these bulletproof characters that regenerate, but we don't often appreciate or really realize that that's us. We are that. We are regenerating like that all the time. Maybe not instantaneously, but we are regenerating all the time. It goes on to say estimates suggest the entire human body replaces itself at a cellular level approximately every 7 to 10 years. Now, it varies on people, but guys, you're literally a different person every 7 to 10 years. So where does the limitation come in? If we're new people every 7 to 10 years, then why do we see certain people have a backache? Well, I've had sciatica my whole life. I just have it. That's what it is. It's not going anywhere. Or I have, you know, um, an autoimmune disease. I have asthma. I have anxiety. We put ourselves under these diagnoses, and the diagnosis goes from being a clinical look at what's going on in a person in the moment, and it becomes an identity. And that's where we're at in healthcare. It shifts from being a conversation around healing to being a conversation around sickness, treating disease, diagnosing, and then that diagnosis turns into an identity, and we end up stuck in these cages. I love diagnostics. I love getting my blood work done and seeing what my body's telling me. What I don't like is prognosis. What I don't like is labels turning into identities, whether that's putting autism over a child. We have had kids in here. I know plenty of parents out there who have seen their children fully reverse, fully heal after an autism diagnosis, fully functioning, all of those labels removed. We see the cases of people with spontaneous remission of cancers as late as stage 4, people who've been told they have so long to live. We have a woman in the practice who came in one day and told us that her doctor said she was diagnosed with Lyme. She probably wouldn't be able to have kids. She came in yesterday. She's got 4 daughters now. How does that happen? How does one doctor say, you have this, you're probably not going to be able to have kids, but here this woman is a living testimony. The gap is she heard it, she felt it, she got afraid, we had all the emotions, but she didn't believe what they told her. She believed something else. She believed, because she tapped into knowledge like this, that my body is regenerating at a cellular level. I am a cellular new person every 7 years. You look at the time frames. No, healing does take time. And that is the hardest part. And that's where we really need a village, because we've got to have practitioners who support us and believe these types of things. They believe that we can regenerate. They believe that we can heal. They believe that we can thrive, so that when we get fearful, when we get overwhelmed, when we're feeling alone and afraid of that cancer diagnosis, of the limitations for our child, when we're frustrated, when we're mad, it's okay. You've got to feel those things. It doesn't feel fair. It's certainly not fun. But when you can let the emotions kind of run their course, and then you can step back into this logic and choose to believe, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to heal from this thing. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I believe my child's going to heal. Well, then we shifted the belief system. And I'll only surround myself with practitioners, with friends, with people when I'm going through stuff like that, that feed me full of that, because doubt, doubt is what kind of destroys that confidence that my body knows how to do this. So what I'll see is, I see parents kind of, they see these miracles happen in kids. They come in, child has had reflux, constipation, asthma. They've had pain. People have had these things. They've tried everything. They come in, they get relief, they get it, out of that symptom kind of cycle, but then they revert back because their symptoms went away, but their belief systems didn't shift. And how we do one thing becomes how we do all things. And so fundamentally, what I want the filter for you to start to look like is, what do I believe is happening right now? If that's as little as a child coughing or being constipated, what is going on in my child right now? What do I believe is happening? Then I can make the appropriate choices, because I am looking at what might be wrong. This is where chiropractic comes in. And chiropractic, not from a sales pitch of, me trying to get everybody to come to the lighthouse. This is about chiropractic being a lifestyle. And so you'll see, different women that have served in this community, like Jess, like Jamie, like Miranda, this is Chloe. I mean, people all continue to get adjusted as they don't serve here anymore. So it's not just something they do, it's become a part of who they are, because we understand in our core belief systems that the power that made the body heals the body, that there is an innate intelligence. The same intelligence that's making 2 million red blood cells within my system right now knows how to heal everything else in my body. I believe that for me. I believe that for my child. It gives me faith. It gives me courage. It gives me confidence to to navigate anything. So chiropractic is an adjustment, but the adjustment is a piece of the story. It's like the smallest, it's amazing, but it is only a piece of the chiropractic story. The big idea is that I have some element of control. I get to choose what types of foods and drinks that I consume. I get to choose how much I engage in social media. I get to choose who I marry. I get to choose what I do with my time. I get to choose if I work out or if I don't. I get to choose my job. And there's an empowerment piece with that. And so it gives us, I'm a master of my fate kind of armor, instead of I'm constantly victim of germs out there, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. It puts us on offense instead of always being on defense, which I feel like the majority of mainstream is. And so chiropractic is an opportunity. It's my first line of defense, whether it's for my kids, whether it's people in the practice, whether it's my family, it's myself. I started having kidney pain. I've shared this in a few videos. I ended up getting an ultrasound. Pain was getting worse and worse. I get the imaging because I need the clinical diagnostics. I had a large kidney stone. Well, what did I believe was happening? Something got stuck. Now I take that into, am I drinking enough water? Could I do some lemon water, apple cider vinegar, olive oil to clean the kidneys? My kidneys aren't filtering properly, is what I believe was going on. Nothing was wrong that I needed somebody else to fix. I wasn't living right, or I was really stressed out. Kidneys in acupuncture hold fear. So what was I fearful of? What type of emotional stress was going on in my kidneys? And so I grabbed a hold of the choices and I went and I got adjusted to turn on the communication in my system to optimize the way that my brain and my kidneys were talking, because kidneys regenerate, like we talked about. I believe what was happening. What did I believe was happening? I believe that something in my life, circumstances, was making me experience this set of symptoms. And instead of being a victim to that, well, then I flipped into, what can I do? What choices can I make? And you can apply that across the board. And so chiropractic becomes, yes, an adjustment and a place when you find a chiropractic, office and village that you can trust and turn to. You don't just go when things are rough. You go to stay well. You go because you want to optimize the function of your nervous system. We want to tune your ability to rest and digest and to go into go mode, the sympathetic. We want to help it run as smoothly as possible because the brain and spinal cord control all other systems in your body. So if you want healthy muscles and bones, you better see a chiropractor because it starts in your nervous system. You want a healthy digestive system, respiratory system, hormonal and reproductive system. All of those systems get told what to do through our spinal cord, spinal nerves, and our brain, and the impulses going up to the brain and the impulses coming down from the brain. So, I feel like this concept, this big idea that you can regenerate, that you are regenerating right now, not that you can, you are right now. Those beliefs, I want to replace some of the beliefs that a lot of us grew up with, that we are broken or that we need intervention or that, that germs are bad. So I mentioned that. Germ theory, which is what all of medicine is based off of, says that there's these germs out here. We come in contact, they make us sick, and then we have to take antibiotics or take different medications to treat them. So I was looking this up. The human body is home to trillions of bacteria, trillions, with estimates suggesting that we encounter thousands of different bacterial species daily through our interactions with environment, food, and people. Some studies suggest that we may come in contact with 1,000 different species of bacteria on a daily basis via skin contact surfaces and air. Trillions around us all the time. 1,000 every single day. That's why COVID didn't shake me the way I feel like it shook a lot of people, because I trust a terrain theory versus the world that's functioning in germ theory. This is a belief system conversation. So if I believe I'm around bacteria all the time, I'm around fungus all the time. There's all different hypotheses about what's going on with viruses. I'm not saying that those things don't happen, but they're in me. I am bacteria. I am that. It is a part of me. So why would I fear it? And why do we get sick? That's where terrain comes in. And I believe that when our terrain is weak, we express symptoms. We get sick. We go into dysfunction. I believe when our terrain is strong, when we're hydrated, when we're resting, when we're happy, when we're connected healthily in our relationships, when we're eating good foods, when we're moving our body, when our lymph is circulate, when we are doing the basics well, when we're doing the work, because the work is the work. It's the same for all of us. We got to move, we got to fuel, we need to pray. That doesn't change for any of us. When we're doing those things, the terrain is strong. I believe it can face anything. That's why you see people like Wim Hof. He's demonstrated this on YouTube. They'll literally like come in direct contact with different germs and not get sick. They'll consume different things that E. coli, I think, is the one that he did most recently. Like, they'll consume these things and come in contact with it and not get sick. Why? Because their terrain is healthy and their belief is that it's not going to hurt them. Goes a long way. And it's not just woo woo. This is science. We're regenerating. So we want to replace, the invitation is to look at what some of those beliefs are that might have landed you where you're at. If you're not happy with your health, if you're not happy with your child's health, or if you have an event like a fever, a cough, constipation or diarrhea, vomiting, cancer, different things come up in your life, remember that if it's happening, it's because there's an intelligent system that's creating it. And instead of waging war against it, it could be an invitation to make some different choices. So when we adjust our perspective, when we adjust those beliefs, then we can adjust our choices and heal, I believe, from anything and overcome. And it just takes time. And that's where we have to adjust our village and keep ourselves surrounded with people that help us trust that when we get fearful. And it's not that you never need intervention. My kids have had stitches. There are car accidents. There are all kinds of things that need immediate emergency attention. It's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the day to day. I'm talking about looking at ways to optimize the function of your ecosystem instead of waging war. I had a conversation, and I'll kind of wrap up here, yesterday with a woman who's been coming into the practice for, man, probably close to 7 years. She's she's late 30s and diagnosed with cancer, and she's panicked. And she's like, one of the first places I knew I had to come was here. I just want to hear, like help me get steady. Number one, she wanted to get adjusted because she knew she was holding all of this physical tension from the momentum of being fearful. So she wanted to get adjusted. She wanted to think clearly. Bigger than that, she knew that I was going to have some different type of insight than what she had gotten. So she had seen this doctor. The bed mannerism, like the bedside manner, was pitiful at best. You have an aggressive breast cancer. You need this. You've got to get started right away. You're going to lose all your hair. I mean, they took her down into all of this. I'm not saying don't get chemo. I'm not saying don't get radiation. I'm not saying don't have surgery. I'm saying let the emotions pass you by. Let the fear that's trying to dictate your choices move and settle before you make any of those choices and turn one problem into two. Make your choices from core beliefs that are rooted in faith, in innate intelligence, in trust. Everyone's going to have a different road here. Cancer's been going crazy in our practice. That's why I want to have a whole nother discussion on this in the upcoming weeks, because it's going to get worse. It's just like we've seen tonsillectomies go crazy over the years. Then we saw ear tubes go crazy over the years. Now we're seeing lip tie and tongue tie revisions go crazy over the years. And then cancer's going crazy. When we look for it, we're going to find it. Traditional medicine says get in there, shut it down, clip it, snip it, cut it out, kill it with radiation, and it literally wages war. What I invited her to remember, and what I'll, invite each of you, and I speak it to myself too, because I'm not so rooted in faith that I'm not human and I don't feel these things too, is that life is happening for you. God has got your back all the time. And our belief around what is happening to us, if cancer came and just, cancer is not a foreign thing that comes out of nowhere and attacks us. Cancer is our own cells. It's a proliferation. It's a overgrowth of our own cells. It's our body waving a check engine red flag going, help me, stop. Something's gone crazy. That's my belief. I don't believe cancer is bad. I don't believe it's fun. I don't believe it's easy. I don't believe that it doesn't come with a very rude awakening to make different choices. But I do believe it's a teacher. I do believe it comes as an invitation to live your life differently. And so we have to pause and just feel all of our feelings and then go, all right, time to get honest with myself. I'm going to connect my center, which is God for me. I'm going to pray. I'm going to talk. I'm going to give my fears and my angers and my frustrations to someone who can actually hold it, which is God. Humans can't hold that kind of stuff, not that big. So I'm going to give it to God first to relieve some of the burden on my shoulders. And then I'm going to do the work. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to clean up my act. I'm going to fast and have segmented periods of time where my body can go to work cleaning house and not focusing on digesting. Fasting is huge. We should probably do a talk about that. I'm going to flush with good quality water. I'm going to rest more. I'm going to love and live a little more intentionally. I'm going to slow down and get less busy in the chaotic parts of my life. I'm going to look at my emotions, because I know emotional momentum is a big part of what makes people sick. And so I go through that lens. And when her and I just chat through those first few layers, she's like, I have been living totally out of control these last few years. And this was going on. I said, let's start there. Let's start course correcting. Because if my life choices were making me sick, and that's the train track that I've been on, then at any given time, I can make different choices, and all of a sudden the train track shifts. And if before my choices were, taking me on the road to New York City, and say New York City is our cancer, and that's where we were headed, at any given time, I can start to eat different, sleep different, surround myself with different people. I can change the tracks. And next thing you know, I can reroute that train in any direction I want to. And instead of going towards sickness, I can take myself through health. And that's the big idea. That is the chiropractic lifestyle. The adjustment is that moment that the chiropractor believes that they see you as whole. They see you as vibrantly healthy. They release any tension in your system so the system can optimize, brain and body can connect. But I'm not healing. Derek's not healing. We're not the healers. You're the healer. And we talked about that with the regeneration. So I hope that this finds you well. And chances are there's probably somebody you know going through something that might need to hear something like this to come out of victim mode, to come out of fear. And instead of thinking that they're just victim of the circumstances and stuck in this life, they can step into a new breath of fresh air and go, well, here I am. This is my life. This is where I'm at. What can I do about it? What do I believe is happening? How can I make different choices? So I appreciate the opportunity. This is one of those calls where I wanted to share this because it's been coming up in different ways in the practice, and I have to find a way to get it to everybody, not just one-on-one. So I appreciate the space to do this. I also really want to get into some hot seat calls. So I've talked to a few of the people in the practice that have navigated tough stuff, anything from, back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, stories that they had for years and overcome, to moms with, kiddos, and women and men who have navigated deep depressions and anxieties and come off of different medications and created a whole different life for themselves. I want to invite them in so that they can share their story like Cody did last week. And I also want to take questions. So I really want to see these calls grow. I'm going to talk with Jess, who's going to help me kind of run some things on the back end, and a few of you who have been requesting different times. And even starting in August, we may look at a lunchtime call that might be accessible for more people. And we'll rotate month to month or quarter to quarter. We'll just kind of rotate. I'll host them in the mornings. I'll host them at lunch. We'll host them in the evenings, and I'll move them around so that we can put them in places. Cause I know that's why I'm doing this. Is it's impossible for all of our schedules to align in the perfect day and time. So this lets us teleport into these conversations anytime. If you're in the practice, you have these little key tags with a little barcode. When you scan that, it's going to take you to the Lighthouse homepage to be able to click in and get logged in. You'll get a welcome email from Kajabi. If you haven't, go ahead and reach out to me. And you'll get that welcome video so that you can log into the vault, and make sure you're in the Telegram group so that you can catch different updates. Make sure you got the links on what's, most current. And in the group chat is not for me. Group chat is all for you guys. That's where you can share stuff. So when your son breaks out in a rash, you can take a picture and say, hey, anybody seen anything like this lately? When you have a cool event coming up and you want to share it. If you're a yoga instructor and you want to share an upcoming event, I want you to share that stuff in there. If you found a new recipe that you want to share with the group because it's really good and the kids love it, please share it in there. Or if you want to ask for recipes because you're looking to kind of revamp, your family's menu, stuff like that. This is literally just where we're going to hang out. So like I said, Jess is going to be helping with some things. I'm excited to have her in her season of life where she can be really present with babies, but she misses you guys and she wants to be able to help. So she's going to jump in and help with all of that. We'll have more meetups coming up. And yeah, I'm just honored to get to do life with you and serve and support in any way that I can. So you're appreciated. I see you. I'm here. So if you don't feel up to asking things public in the group chat, shoot me a message directly in Telegram, and we can one-on-one it until you feel comfortable for me to throw it in the group and bring it up anonymously, or you feel comfortable coming on to something like this. So I love you. Have a beautiful Tuesday, and I will see you soon.